Hi everyone, a very good evening to all of you, and looking forward for yet another chat, and it's going to be really very interesting. We have a very different personality here today with us, so I'm just waiting for Leher to join us in a while. And as you all know, Leher is a social activist, entrepreneur, and director of something creative. It's a deadly combination of a social activist, entrepreneur, and director, something creative. So we have here today Leher with us, who's a young, beautiful, charming entrepreneur, social activist, and director something creative. So Leher, a warm welcome to you here on Madhuri's Luxury Code Dot. So today we would like to know.
Thank you, Madhuri. Thank you so much for having me.
A pleasure to have you here with us, and it would love to know your story and your journey.
Uh, I've told this journey so many times.
I'm sure.
It's become a sort of cliche. There's nothing much to it. Uh, I did my engineering. I did it from Kurukshetra University. And then I came to Delhi. I came to Delhi to work right after college. I was working with a multinational in Delhi. And I wasn't really happy, because somewhere deep down inside, I always knew that this wasn't my true calling. Wasn't cutting it for me, like there was no job satisfaction. Although initially I was very driven and, because you spend 4 years to study engineering and it's quite tough. And then you have a lot of pressure on yourself from your parents and from your peers and from everybody who expects you to do well. And it was going okay, but then for reasons that couldn't have been avoided, I ended up leaving Wipro and deciding to go and explore other opportunities.
Right.
And then I did a lot of stuff. I got into training. I did outbound training. I was a trainer for a while, lower, middle, as well as higher management. Then I got into this organization that used to do these off-sites because I love to travel. And then, I decided to take off. My father is a retired army officer. He was in Ladakh at the time. So I just went and joined him. He was in Ladakh. I spent about a month there. I was so unsure of what I wanted to do in life, to be honest with you. And I think it's very important to have that phase, because most of us, we have our decisions already taken for us by others and we just keep going in life. We keep going, we keep doing stuff that is expected out of us without actually stopping to think whether this is what we want to do. So I did that. I had a great time. I read a lot of books and then I came back and then the spa industry happened to me by chance.
Okay.
And I was in it for a while, and then the event industry just happened to me again by chance.
Okay.
Because I was doing all these really interesting. I really used to miss those conversations that you have with people who read. And I wasn't meeting like-minded people. So I joined this book club. Then I became a part of a book club. We started this book club. And from there, from book-related events, other events started happening. And that's how something creative happened.
Interesting, wonderful. So your journey has been very adventurous, I must say, and you try to explore various areas besides engineering, and you're actually absolutely right. As a child, whatever our parents tell us, probably we are just just going on and doing that without knowing what exactly we want. And I think the sooner we realize, the better it is for us. And ultimately, I think you do realize your passion and your interest, what interests you the most actually. And I'm sure you've been interviewed and asked this kind of a question about your story and your journey by many more other people. But again, the world is huge and vast, and this may be a very different audience, and it may be a lot of information about you. Many of us.
Of course.
No, me also. Though I've known you from so many years now, but still, it's so nice to know so much more about you. So, Leher, I know that you have been a social activist. If you can brief a bit about what exactly do you do as a social activist, how did you get into it, and I mean, do you have a real passion for this because you're into so many other things as well? So,
So, Madhvi, let me tell you how the two things are connected, you know. So, the events that I do, I only do an event when there is some sort of a social cause attached to them. And so, I've done a lot of stuff for like for any social cause, you know. It could be, so the last event that I did, which was on a large scale, was about disability. Yeah, women empowerment, disability inclusion, you know, because what is happening now is that the clients, the corporates, instead of blatantly advertising themselves, they also want to be seen as being socially responsible. So as part of their CSR and as part of the company culture, you know, they're trying to show that they are worried about their employees, they are worried about their clients, and they are looking forward to doing events like that, you know. So I've done a lot of women empowerment, women events wherein women are being celebrated with corporates, you know, like BMW dealerships, for example, you know, they are interested in sustainable growth. These are all social causes that are attached, you know, and I truly, genuinely feel very, very passionately about our society in general. I feel that we are degrading as a society with every passing day. You look at any, you know, when we talk about inclusion, inclusion doesn't just mean that you treat somebody with a disability equally. Firstly, people don't even understand what it is to be inclusive. Inclusive doesn't mean that the other person needs your sympathy or your pity. Inclusion means to treat the other person with the same respect and to be able to give them the same opportunity, to give them the same, to treat them the same way that you would treat anybody in general, you know. And that is, yeah, and it's irrespective of disability, it's irrespective of caste, creed, gender, religion. That is true inclusion. And I think people have completely forgotten that. So I went a couple of times, I even spoke at Shaheen Bagh, I was a part of the protest because I genuinely feel that what is happening is very wrong. I do get trolled for it, I get a lot of negative responses, but you know, now I've kind of gotten used to living with it. So, yeah.
Right. And it's a beautiful message actually. You have to be actually not empathetic or sympathetic and not treat them like that. And it's better, like, you know, it's a very good message that you're putting across to the audience. And any plans to get into politics by any chance? Because I have seen you a lot in the Shaheen Bagh incident as well, and you were making a point and you were very strong on that. So do we see you getting into politics in future anytime?
So, Madhvi, that's a very, very tricky question. You know, so there have been opportunities, but politics is a very complicated game. It's extremely complicated, is what I've realized. There are good people and bad people in all political parties. And it's all about staying true to what you believe in. You know, having an ideology is very important. So I think a political party stands more for an ideology than for whether they are doing good or bad work, you know, because it's the people who do the good work or the bad work. uh, I don't think I am ready for politics as of now. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm too emotional, I'm sensitive, and I think it is required, but it is also required to be extremely diplomatic when you're in politics, you know. And although, of course, see, and all politicians, irrespective of political parties, they help activists because, see, their main aim is to connect with the public. So, as an activist, I've realized that I've been able to do a lot more work for the people than I probably would be able to as a politician. Maybe in the
as in how the
future.
destiny brings it, basically. So you're just moving with the flow as of now. And but you definitely make a point, and you're a strong person, because I see your comments on Facebook about whatever that strongly feel for our country or about the government. You do put it across your point of view. So which we do see it. And how about like your journey as an entrepreneur? What all you've done as an entrepreneur, and what do you intend to do even in future as an entrepreneur?
So I recently was in discussion with the Delhi government.
That we need people like you in government now, by Vicky Anand.
I don't know, Vicky, you know how it is. Let's see, like I said, never say no. Let's see where things take me. But I do feel that it is important for people like us to raise our voices for those who can't raise a voice for themselves. That is what I tell a lot of times, that we have this privilege and we must use that privilege. We must use our voice. We must raise our voice for those who cannot raise their voices. That is very important. And just today, and I get this a lot that, why are you spreading negativity? By asking for accountability, how are you spreading negativity? It's beyond me. I don't understand that. Yeah. So you were asking
your journey as an entrepreneur, what all you've done as an entrepreneur. Where do you see you going ahead with your entrepreneurship skills?
Right. So I just had this. We had like a Zoom call with the Delhi government, the trade association, wherein I gave my inputs. You see, I'm from the event industry. I really don't know when the event industry and the hospitality industry are going to normalize because of the whole COVID situation. Because till that happens, people are not going to step out into events, and unless events happen in person, where is the execution going to be, right? So the future right now, the near future, I would say looks very bleak. But I have grown leaps and bounds from where I began. Madhvi, I had no backing. Everything that I have done, everything that I have achieved has been entirely on my own. Of course, I did get help from people. They supported me, and I'm very thankful to all the people who supported me and introduced me to a lot of things. I would like to thank Ratan Kaul here. She brought me into the Delhi circuit and introduced me to a lot of people. But then it's on yourself, right? How you carry forward and what your abilities are. I just hope these challenges, because it's so difficult to predict what's going to happen in the future for the event industry and the hospitality industries. We all need to think of a solution.
But do you see it happening virtually more? For the time being, are you working on those areas as well, like getting it more on the social digital media and virtual events or something like that for the time being?
Of course we are, but they don't pay much. And see, the execution of an event, the sponsorships, the client, that is what gets you the money. And that is how you pay your employees or whoever is working for you, right? Because whenever we do an event, we generate employment for so many people. There are various vendors. There is a hotel that you book. Don't happen on.
Can you be a bit close to the network?
When they would attend an event in person.
Right.
So that's very difficult. It's of course we are doing events, but it's not really generating much revenue if you ask me. And that is a little that's not a very good
sign. So as of now, we have to just keep the patience and wait and watch for situations to get all right, and then again back to the normal, good big events and proper events actually. So then I would also like to know about you as a director of Something Creative. Can you tell us something about Something Creative?
So Something Creative is just my events company, which I already mentioned about, right? So I do events there. And one of the events that I'm very, very proud of is this event that I did on disability, for which, of course, I had the backing of a client. So we tied up with this lady, Carolyn Casey, who had launched the campaign globally called Valuable 500 at the World Economic Forum. And we tied up with the India partners, and we got people like Mr. Anand Mahindra, Arundhati Bhattacharya. I mean, it was, and we generated employment for persons with disabilities, and we spoke about the challenges, from an economic standpoint, because what people don't realize is that they are not just workers, they are also your client. So there's such a huge group of people who are completely being neglected, who are not even considering, who can really increase your social spending. They can increase, they can add to your revenue, if you're a retail store, and if you're disabled friendly. So there are a lot of things like that we discussed. I'm very glad to have given this idea to them and have done it. We've done it for 2 years.
Awesome. That's a real noble thing to do. And I know you're very fond of reading, and you also are a member of a book club, and Delhi Book Lovers is probably by you, launched by you, the book club Delhi Book Lovers. So if you can...
It was. I was a part of it, and I helped grow it, but not anymore. I'm no longer associated with them.
Okay, because I believe you are a part of the Delhi Literature Festival advisor as well. Are you still as a Delhi Literature Festival advisor, or it is before? It was before.
No, not anymore. Not anymore.
Okay. And then there is also, like, you have huge interest on food, and you do food reviews on some websites in general.
Yeah. So whenever I get time, yes. So I love cooking. I think a lot of us do, and especially in the lockdown, all of us have managed to find time to cook. So yeah. So I also love to review the food that I eat, but it's a hobby, It's just it's. I think I'm a bit of a foodie. I love to eat. I love
to. So if you can mention any one of your reviews in the magazines or journals that you would have written about the food.
So I used to write for So Delhi, and for Zomato as well. Then they changed their entire user interface. Now it's more about selling food. Earlier on, it used to be about reviewing food. So till that was there, I used to write. I used to write for So Delhi as well. They used to send me. I volunteered to do the reviews for them. So they would send me to all these fancy places, and I was also a part of this food review group. But now I hardly get time for it, Madhvi, to be honest. Ever since I began something creative, then I became a mother. I'm a mother to a 4-year-old. And with all of that, you hardly get time. Earlier on, I used to have all this time on hand, and I used to love doing this.
And being a mother is more than a full-time job, and if you can manage even other things and also like just something creative, that's more than enough, I think. But that's commendable. And you've been a speaker at various conferences. Can you mention some of the conferences where you've been a speaker, and what topics were these?
So I speak where I get invited to talk about women entrepreneurship, the issues that women face in our society. So one of the jobs that I take very seriously as a mother is to make sure that my child is sensitized, and it is. So these are the things that I talk about. I talk about how it is important for us to live to make a better society for ourselves, and it has to begin with us. So I was also till last year the director of the Sansad Adarsh Ram Yojana in 2 of these villages in northwest Delhi, Majra Dabas, Budhanpur and Salapur Majra. And there my job was to coordinate with and work with all the local authorities and all the autonomous bodies like MCD, DDA, and I learned a lot from it, So during that time, I was asked to speak at a lot of places, and it was nice to share experiences, and it was also nice to know about what other people had done at the same level. And of course, you get to network a lot, you get to meet people, you get to understand how our government actually functions, how the bureaucracy works.
That's right.
And that for me was an eye-opener,
Right.
I feel that unless our bureaucracy changes, unless our systems change, and our systems are as old as the Britishers' times, maybe a few new systems have been introduced, but till unless the systems change, this Babu culture is not going to go. And we are going to be where we are. And I know it is a very bleak picture that I'm presenting, and it's not very nice to know about it, but these are facts. I mean, this is what I've realized after working as a part of the Sansad Adarsh Ram Yojana. This is what I realized.
And that's like very much working on the grassroots also. So you got to see, functioning and working of the government at the very grassroots as well with these associations?
Yes, so I did see how things function on the grassroots level. Like I said again, I am not the poster girl for it because I I mean, if I tell you the stories, you will be amazed. Actually, not because most of our digital media as well as our movies are full of stories about how the bureaucracy functions, right? So it wasn't a very hunky dory picture. What was the other thing that you asked? Another thing is grassroots level, you said, right? It is not everybody's cup of tea to work at the
Absolutely.
grassroots. It is very tough to work
That's
at the
true.
grassroots, and this is still, you're working with representatives, you're working with the DM, the SDM, the OSD, and these are in women empowerment or other areas that I work in and talk about. For example, sexual crimes, crimes against women, for example, or child molestation cases. We many a times, unless you are a registered practitioner, unless you're somebody who has seen the reality or is prepared for it or has studied about it or knows something about psychology, you take it home with you, which is what I realized early on. And I realized that it wasn't my thing to do that. Everybody has their own area. So for me, I think I want to stick to creating awareness about it and questioning and letting the experts do their job and supporting them and helping them, lending them a helping hand. I think
Right.
that is what
So
we should.
you discovered your forte basically within the whole thing, functioning and organizing of the thing. You realize that you're more better at all this rather than physically going there or doing things on the creative side. And if you can share any of your
I feel very strongly.
If you would like to share.
Sorry, you broke up there.
I said if you would like to share any of your experience.
So one story that has really stayed with me, it's an image that will haunt me, I think, for the rest of my life. Was this case that came by. So my house help comes from this village in Masoodpur. And she came and told me about this 8-year-old girl who was raped. And the police had not acted. And all these villagers were going to go and protest. And their way of protesting was, because nobody was listening to them, the police wasn't maybe not registering an FIR. I wouldn't like to comment because I don't know the exact details of when they did register an FIR. But these people, what they did was they took matters into their own hands, and all these people from Masoodpur village went and lied down. They laid down on the road, and Masoodpur road is what connects all of Delhi with Gurgaon. If you want to take the National Highway 8, that is what you do. And yes, and the police came and beat them up, and there was an altercation. All the people who were coming back from Delhi or going towards Gurgaon were stuck in that traffic, and none of the national media reported on it. In fact, no media reported on it.
That's very sad.
So so I got in touch with a friend who has his own digital report or like a media house, for journalism, and we did a video. And then, I got to interact with this girl with whom this case had happened to understand what had happened. And, like you want to help, so you're very motivated. Right. And when I met this girl, this 8-year-old girl, I obviously met her with the parents. Now, when you've been in a case like this, the very next day you're not supposed to walk. You're a child who's been raped. This was 2 days later. This girl came walking, and we told the parents that आपको चलाना नहीं चाहिए था बच्ची को, ऑटो में ले आते या गाड़ी कर लेते. And the police, the government is supposed to give them money for basic things like this, like when they go to for the deposition to the court, for example, or to the hospital. These are things that are supposed to be taken care of. And I realized how sad the real situation at hand is, because there's an NGO that's supposed to handhold in such cases that wasn't there. The investigation officer in a child molestation case needs to be a lady officer, and we don't have enough ladies. So I went to the police station and got into an argument with this lady who told me कि मैडम आप क्या बात कर रहे हो, मैं कितने केसेस देखूं, आपको पता है कितने केसेस आते हैं ऐसे, आप मेरे ऊपर चला रहे हो, मेरे पास तो ऐसे और कितने केसेस हैं, so parents themselves, Madhavi, the father and the mother were barely 25, and they had 3 children. The father was an alcoholic who couldn't even talk properly, and the mother had no clue what was happening. So we tried to help these people. We tried to rehabilitate them. We got the girl admission in a private school. We thought, it could help turn her life around.
Right.
And the parents did not take the girl to the private school.
My God.
We got them a room, close. They didn't want to stay there. They wanted to go back to the same village. We thought that a change in the surroundings might help her. So what I realized was that it's not everybody's cup of tea, and I really couldn't interact with this girl. Luckily, I had asked a friend to join who's a professional who dealt with the girl. So after that, I never tried to personally get involved in a case like this, because and that girl's face and her parents, the whole case, I think I'll never forget.
Wants you or something.
I was so upset.
Must be so, it's a very sensitive thing, and still commendable. And you were able to at least try your best to help the family and the child, And maybe we need more people like that. But yeah, you have to be a very, very strong person to go through all this and see this. It's not easy, And
exactly.
And you have been moderating, organizing, and hosting events, authors and literature festival. That was earlier. And host events you do, but not moderate literature festivals and all that around the book club.
I do. I moderate. I moderate a lot of panel discussions.
Okay.
When I'm not on a panel speaking myself, there are times that I moderate panels as well.
Any of the
I think the job of a moderator is tougher than that of a panelist.
Any of the recent sessions that you moderated, and if you remember anything from the recent.
So during COVID, we've been like you're doing this one-on-one like that. I've done a few.
Okay.
So and I've spoken on a lot of panels about the role of youth in emerging India, how the youth is going to help us get out of the COVID situation, or what their or their role in politics for that matter. So been connecting with the industry leaders, been connecting with the political leaders, giving them advice on whatever I think can be done.
20 Women as a Leader of Tomorrow by the New York Times.
Yeah, so this was a huge honor. Tina Brown had come to Delhi in 2016. I think they got permission, and 2015 or 2016, and they had organized the Women in the World Summit in Delhi, at I think the Taj Hotel. And I was selected as one of the 20 women leaders of tomorrow.
And you make our country proud.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
That's a big thing to say. Thank you so much.
And you also secretary to Vietnam friendship. Indonesia friendship, right? So how did you get into the Indo-Indonesia friendship and Vietnam friendship?
So these are just societies, whose main aim is to basically increase the level of associations between the two countries. So the resident ambassador in Delhi is the one who usually hosts the event. So, we are in touch with him and the embassy to connect with people. So it could be, we try to promote culture, art, business between the two countries. It's been interesting. So for this, I would like to thank gentleman Mr. K.L. Malhotra, who got me involved in this, because there were a lot of events, so he would ask me for help. And a lot of times, I'm the one who ends up moderating and the one who ends up hosting
Wonderful.
these
Awesome.
events.
And you've been also on board with various committees and organizations as well as ministries you're associated with. So if you can brief a bit about the different organizations, associations, and the ministries.
So I do a lot of events with various government agencies. Like I said, until last year, just before the election, I was the director of the Sansad Adarsh Ram Yojana. So I was working as a representative of the local area member of parliament. And I was the one responsible for representing him at the Delhi government. We had for the villages, we had this Delhi Village Development Board. So I was a member there and I got to present my views. I got to tell what tenders should be passed and why we were demanding for certain infrastructure projects or other projects to, be passed. And there are a lot of organizations, like you said, the Indo-Indonesia Friendship Society. Then there's the ICHR, Indian Council of Human Relations, Indian Council of we do events, we try to spread awareness. We also do a lot of work, like we constructed, with the help of our chairperson, Mrs. Aruna Abhay Oswal, we constructed these centers for women, wherein women in certain areas could come and learn how to, learn certain skills. There were skill development centers. I also did these skill development centers. I got them approved and made in the villages that I was handling. And then we got there's this school very close to where I live, where we made bathrooms, we repaired their roof. There's a lot of work, there's a lot of work if you want to do. Unfortunately, like again, I would like to say this, Advi, without blaming anybody in particular, without saying whether it's the state government's responsibility or the central government's responsibility. The fact is that a lot of people who need help are not getting help. And this is, I'm talking about pre-COVID. I'm not even talking about COVID, or what happened after that. Then, yeah, there are just so many areas. And, because I was personally present there, I saw, for example, these community centers, so when Sahib Singh was the chief minister of Delhi, there was a tender that was taken out, and about, I think, 7 to 8, I'm not sure of the number, but a number of community centers were made. And these community centers were supposed to have been the areas where, these urban villages and rural villages of Delhi. Because I don't know if you know this, but in Delhi, the villages don't have panchayats, they have RWAs like our other societies and all. Okay? So those community centers were for the RWAs to use, or for the people, to set up a shop, to set up shops, to have community events, weddings, things like that, And nobody maintained these community centers. They spent so much money to make them, and nobody maintained them. I saw that there were these community centers with the whole thing made, like you had a structure, but there was no electricity that was available anymore, there was no water, local goons had taken it over, they used to go there to drink, and basically it had gone down to the dock. So I asked the villagers what had happened, and they told me that, nobody knew who was responsible. They said there used to be a watchman, and then the DM stopped paying for the watchman. The DM said it wasn't his responsibility, it came under MCD said it was, so by the time we figured out what had happened, then we again applied for a tender to repair it. Then, you have all this, like I said, bureaucracy. So under the MPLAD fund, you can't do certain things. You cannot do any you can only make something new. You can't repair. You can't do any repair work. So you have to go to the state government for that. So, I understood how the center and the state work together. And I just realized we have so many places, so many lapses, I mean, there are days when we have gone and sat outside, nahi, aaj to hum kaam kara ke hi jayenge, and we've still returned empty-handed without having had any work done. So I think the media has a very important
right, and that is, I think, where we need people like you who can actually bring out these things in the notice, and something can be done about all these issues. And I think you've been doing commendable good work, not only in the social work, but also how you're balancing it out so beautifully, your events and the social work, plus these organizations. It's been great. And at such a young age, you got a call for even social work. Whatever you're contributing to the society is just amazing. And as you know, Leher, the program is about Madhvi's luxury code. I would like to know the definition of luxury from you.
So, I was a very different person before I came into this arena. I still have my a luxury, I would say, yeah, I still have some areas where, I love luxury as well. So I'm somebody who loves bags. Okay, so that's something that I spend on shoes and bags. And for me, I think we need to sometimes stop feeling guilty. I sometimes feel that I've stopped buying a lot of luxurious items because I started feeling very guilty about buying. Get rid of that. My birthday is coming up, by the way, so maybe I'll maybe I'll treat myself to something nice.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe I can treat myself to something luxurious. But you're doing a great job as well, Madhavi. Thank you so much. I think women need to pull other women up, and that's exactly what you're doing. I see that you commend all the people on your show, and it's so nice. And thank you so much for having me.
With us. Any questions? If the audience would like to know, you can ask a question to Leher. I saw a lot of good comments that we want you, and it's very good what you're doing, Leher. I saw those comments. And lastly, but not the least, what message would you like to give to the audience, Leher? If you can give a message to the audience from your side.
So I don't like to preach. I would just like to say that I think all of us have a responsibility, especially at a time like now, towards all those people who are around us who are lesser privileged than us. So I think let's just start from home. Let's make sure that we help our drivers, our gardeners, and our house helps. That's how it can start. We can ask them if they know anybody who needs our help, and let's try and reach out to these people and help them. And you know, have uncomfortable conversations. Madhvi, I always say this. In India, we have a habit of putting things under the rug, which I think only makes the problems worse. So we need to start having uncomfortable uh, conversations with our children, with our elders. If you see somebody who's a bigot, please call them out. Please start speaking up for what you see around yourself. There's no point in talking about it on social media if you don't do anything with the people who you have control over or a say over. Try to explain these basic things like gender equality to your own children, to your own elders, to your own peers, to your own friends, and let's make it a better country.
A very nice and a wonderful message. And already, these kind of groups are existing internationally abroad. Like when I speak to my friends in Texas and all, so they have these groups where all the mothers and parents, they get together, and there is a lady who will counsel, and they open up with their all issues to each other, and that way they get such a good relief, and everybody is able to solve it out. And maybe there should be a group like that, like book clubs and all. There should be a club like that where you just come out openly about your issues and problems and resolve it together.
That's a great idea. Also, Madhvi, I always tell people that they should read because you get to know perspectives. You become a more tolerant person automatically because you're getting into somebody else's head and you're reading something or you're finding out something from their point of view. So encourage that in your children. I think that the content out there these days on all platforms is just so negative. So, of course, you can choose the content that you want to watch, but uh, like I'm reading this book called Mothering a Muslim. I've already almost finished it. So, what our children see is what they learn. You can give them lectures, you can have conversations, you can give them, you can have talks with them, but it won't help. It won't teach them anything unless you practice it yourself. And also, what you watch on television, right? It transforms. Like my son, sometimes he says words that I've never used. So it's probably because he's heard it while somebody else was watching television. So we have to be very, very careful because they pick it up without understanding it. And that's where,
as they say, parents are the best role models for the children. So, they definitely look up to you the most. Kids look up to you the most. So great, lovely having you here, and a great and wonderful conversation, and all the best to you for your future projects and all. Thank you so much, Nehru. Have a great.
Thank you. You too, Madhvi. Thank you so much.
Bye.
You too. Have a great day.